Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Utica. I'm Kim Bywater. I'm a member of the Worship Committee. Whether you are visiting for the first time or have been a member for many years, you are welcome here. Whatever faiths you have known, if any, you are welcome here. Whoever you are and whomever you love, you are welcome here. We are invited to bring our whole selves to this worship service, our doubts as well as our convictions, the pain and joy we have known, our longing for connection and understanding. Every part of you is welcome here. Our congregation acknowledges that the land on which UU Utica stands is the ancestral land of the Oneida Nation, one of the original nations of the Haudenosaunee or Iroquois people. If you are visiting us today for the first time, either in person or online, we are glad you have joined us. We would love to learn more about you and connect you with our newsletter if you like. There will be a link in the chat to a form that we hope any online visitors would fill out, and we hope you will stay for informal conversation in breakout groups after the service. We have a few announcements today. Phyllis Broccoli's family invites us to join them for an informal gathering, a celebration of life for Phyllis in the town of Paris Park. It will be Tuesday, August 23rd from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. Food, photos, and friends. There will be further details in the newsletter. Next, Sunday, August 28th, is our tour of the Norman Rockwell exhibition at Munson Williams with Professor Daniel Buckingham. Save the date and see the newsletter for further details. Let us open our hearts and minds to the experience of community and the wisdom of love. Our chalice lighting are words from the Dalai Lama. Never give up. No matter what is going on, never give up. Develop the heart. Too much energy in your country is spent developing the mind instead of the heart. Be compassionate, not just to your friends, but to everyone. Be compassionate. Work for peace in your heart and in the world. Work for peace. And I say again, never give up. No matter what is going on around you, never give up. Our first hymn is in your teal hymnals. It is number 1021, Lean on Me. 1021.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road, I'll share your load. If you just call me, call me, call me, call me, call me.
Good morning. Our call to worship. And first, let me say thank you for letting me be here with you all again. And I'm actually here in person for a change, and I love that. Thank you so much. The current Dalai Lama is the 14th, was born in 1935. He was 15 years old when he was officially enthroned as the leader of Tibet. He was 24 years old when he fled to India as the Chinese moved in. He and the Tibetans might have fallen into obscurity after 1959, but he never gave up. In Dharamsala in northern India, he established, and I think of this sometimes, how a young person, he established a government in exile, a democratic constitution including a cabinet and assembly. There followed a Tibetan Library of Tibetan Works preserving the manuscripts and artifacts that were smuggled out of Tibet, a children's village, and multiple monasteries and temples. Sadly, it's unlikely he will return to Tibet, but he has gifted to the world many, many Buddhist teachings that would otherwise not have been available to the West. Here at UU in Utica, we experienced the traveling relics of numerous Tibetan masters, the relics in 2015. It was an incredible presence. There are Tibetan temples throughout New York State now. This is a great example of resilience, and it inspires me always when I think of it. And today we explore ways we never give up, ways we pick ourselves up, ways we lean on others through difficult times. And so it is our call to worship today. And our children's story is called Resilience. And the author is writing to his child, Emmy, but you know, we are all Emmy. We are all Emmy. He says, Emmy, it all began when you were small. You did your best and tried to crawl. You slipped, you slid, you fell to the floor, but you got up and tried once more. And then came walking. That was tough. You wibbled, you wobbled, and bumped into stuff. One step, two steps, you fell to the floor, but up you got and tried once more. We all have little ones around us, grandchildren, great nieces, nephews are doing this. On the first day, you walked over to me, you held out your arms for you to see. You giggled and laughed at what you could do. My heart beat fast with pride for you. And do you remember when I taught you to swim? You were frightened and scared, but you bravely got in. You spluttered, you coughed, it was hard for you, but you tried your best. It's what you do. And at long last, when you turned 4, you didn't have to try so hard anymore. You swam around just like a fish, faster and faster. Swish, swish, swish. Many things were hard for you, like riding a bike, tying your shoes. But you kept trying in different ways. You knew you would get it one of these days. Kids have such courage. I know you remember a very sad day when our dog, dear old Sonny, passed away. We held each other and cried many tears, how we've missed him over these years. Today we looked at some pictures of Sonny dressed as Superman. He looked so funny. We giggled and laughed, we hugged and we smiled. We forgot our sadness for a little while. Then in roared our new dog, Sally, running so fast, her ears flapping as she scurried past. But up she ran and ran some more. She slid, she slipped, she fell to the floor. Then going to school has been hard for you. You've been sad and lonely and bullied, too. But you never said, I'm not going today. You bravely waved and went on your way. It took a long time to find your place with teachers and children and challenges faced. But now in the second grade, you've made it through. You're learning and happy in all that you do. You amaze me so much every day. I'm proud of you in so many ways. When things go wrong or troubles start, you bounce right back with all your heart. Only last week, as we sat in the park, the clouds rolled in and the sky grew dark. We hurried home to get out of the rain. You smiled, we can try again. But instead of crying and feeling sad, instead of stomping and getting mad, you put the rug down on the floor and abracadabra, a picnic, indoors. I love our adventures on warm summer days. We go to the forest and you lead the way. You look under rocks, you listen for birds, you sit in the silence. The forest is heard. And once when a stream blocked our way, you thought it through and saved the day. You said, this log over here. We'll go over the ditch. And across we ran without a hitch. You started karate when you were quite small. The other kids seemed incredibly tall. You were knocked, you fell over, you were pushed to the ground, but you always got up. You never stayed down. Yesterday I cheered with the biggest of grins as I watched you achieved your very first win. They called out your name. You stood strong, you stood proud. As friends and family cheered from the crowd. Good job. You're feisty, you're powerful, brave, and unique. I know you can be whatever you seek. Believe in yourself. Know you are strong. If you ever feel down, don't stay there too long. I love you so much, the universe says to us all. I trust you in all that you do. You're kind, you're daring, resilient, and smart. A courageous warrior with a beautiful heart. Resilience. We are all resilient. Whether you be Tibetan, a child, an adult, African American, as we were just discussing on our social justice committee, Maya Angelou always comes to mind. So the reading today is Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. Some excerpts. She says, you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I rise. Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling. I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wonderfully clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. Never give up. There's a well-known story in Buddhism about this wife of a wealthy man. She lost her only child. She became desperate and asked if anyone could help her. Her sorrow was so great that many thought for sure she had lost her mind. An old man told her to see the Buddha. The Buddha told her that he could bring the child back to life if she could find a white mustard seed from a family where no one had died. She desperately went from house to house, but to her disappointment, she could not find a house that had not suffered the death of a family member. Finally, the realization struck her that there is no house free from mortality. She returned to the Buddha who comforted her, preached to her the truth. She awakened and entered into enlightenment. One of my teachers had a shorter way of putting this idea that no one gets a pass. She would say, "We are all equally beggars here." You think someone else has it easy? No, no, no. We are all equally beggars here. We each have our trials, our challenges, as well as our times of joy. No one gets the pass. Look at all of you here, online. You get up in the morning, and at least this morning found a reason to venture out, turn on Zoom, be present for this service. There is hope. There is always hope. But sometimes we have trouble seeing it, believing in it. Recently, I shared an old story of mine in the Syracuse paper some months back, and Interfaith Works runs a column, and they invite you to submit articles. I was troubled by a patient on my floor. I volunteer as a chaplain at Upstate. And I was troubled by a patient in her 20s that had attempted suicide and eventually succumbed to her injury. So I wrote about my own attempt many years ago. I was in my 30s. I wrote, "I was living in a spiritual community and had an argument with the leaders, resulting in my packing up and leaving. As my emotions settled down and the reality of what I had done dawned on me, I fell into a deep depression, and I knew I had just ruined everything and my life was over. It was over. You couldn't come back from that. I resolved to commit suicide. Shortly before I was to carry out my suicide plan, my head suddenly cleared. It's like I woke up, came to a full stop. I think some angel just rapped me on the head. And the thought of suicide never returned, stopped me cold. And I reflect on that when I hear of others' attempts or thoughts about suicide. I remember how rigid my thinking was, how stuck I was in believing it was over, that nothing else could be done, that there was nothing else to look forward to, that there was no hope. And I am so grateful that I was given a second chance. Since that time, so many blessings have come into my life that I could not have foreseen, that I could not have predicted. Never give up. Neither disasters or triumphs last forever. Change happens continuously. The Tibetan Buddhist nun Pema Chodron, and she writes with such incredible clarity, reminds us that we think that the point is to pass the test or overcome the problem. But the truth is that things don't really get solved. They come together, they fall apart, they come together. It's just like that. The healing comes from letting there be room in you for all of this to happen. Let it be. Letting change be. How amazing for all of us that we are here. That we have stumbled at one time or another and then picked ourselves up and continued on. Stop and think, what was it that helped you get back up? I was reading a book called Reasons to Stay Alive, catchy title. And he mentioned family. Family and family-like friends who call just to say hello, who lift our spirits even by talking about nothing in particular, or who just hang out with us, or who send us a text, call us on the phone. One of the favorite things I love on my Facebook feed is the Winnie the Pooh cartoon. The Tao of Pooh was a favorite book of mine many years ago. Such wisdom. I shared this particular conversation. I put together a monthly newsletter for chaplains, and I had to include this one because it is so much in what we do. So here's the conversation between Pooh and Piglet. "Today was a difficult day," said Pooh. There was a pause. "Do you want to talk about it?" asked Piglet. "No," said Pooh after a bit. "No, I don't think I do." "That's okay," said Piglet. And he came and sat beside his friend. "What are you doing?" asked Pooh. "Nothing really," said Piglet, "only I know what difficult days are like. I quite often don't feel like talking about it on my difficult days either." "But goodness," continued Piglet, "difficult days are so much easier when you know you've got someone there for you. And I'll always be here for you, Pooh." And as Pooh sat there working through in his head this difficult day, while this solid, reliable Piglet sat next to him quietly, swinging his little legs, he thought that his best friend had never been more right. We get by with a little help from our friends. As a chaplain, we're trained to sit quietly with patients when appropriate, but we are also great listeners. Patients often need to download a lot of what is going on in their minds. I'm grateful that they trust me enough to share their fears, their concerns, their prayers. Our thinking sometimes paints us in a corner or keeps the wheels spinning and we become lost and locked down. Talking out loud, even to yourself, can be helpful, especially the laughing at yourself part. Humor is always a plus. It shifts everything. Laugh therapy is a thing. Laughing Buddha. Or the story, look up the Norman Cousins for those of us who remember the 80s. But you don't have to be a chaplain to be a listener. We all need someone to be a listener. This is not a fixer. Sometimes we just need to hear all those words tumbling around in our head out loud. And Reasons to Be Alive, he attributed some of his recovery to talk therapy, talking about what was going on in his head. Our coffee sessions often serve this purpose, getting together and just talking about nothing in particular. As a listener, it's helpful to be quiet inside, to not be arguing with this person, to just accept what they are saying and who they are. I am worthy. You are worthy. These were mantras from the Course in Miracles workshop sing-along Thursday night. It was beautiful. Thank you, Jack. There will also be times not to be the listener, the times to remind your friend that they are worthy, that things do change, that they can get through whatever is troubling them, to let it be. We are a resilient species. It may take time or no time, but it is possible. We lean on each other. We can be proud people in not wanting to ask for help, but know there are always people whose joy is to help. I saw this beautiful quote attributed to Albert Einstein, all people, Mr. Scientist. He says, from the standpoint of daily life, there is one thing we do know, that we are here for the sake of each other. We are here for the sake of each other. We are part of each other, a tapestry seen by mystics in the expansive eyes of God of many names. We have a place, a role in this world, in this tapestry. Pastor Steve Garnas Holmes wrote, "You are part of the great oneness. What you do affects the whole. You are a voice in the chorus, a string on the beloved's guitar. When you change your note, you change the entire chord. Or more simply, you are worthy." And while we are resilient, we must always recognize a brick wall. We can be good about grinding it out, and sometimes that's necessary. There's a feeling of its rightness and a light at the end of the tunnel, perseverance, like going to college at night for 8 years, like going to seminary while working full-time. I eventually returned to that spiritual community, and a senior student was put in charge of my comings and goings. She did not think I deserved a second chance and used every opportunity to make it difficult so I would quit. I had grown in my understanding during my absence, and I knew I was in the right place. I held my own and refused to become negative or combative. I just did whatever she asked. The teachers discovered other actions of the student as well, and she ended up being dismissed from the community, and my life became a little better. I took no action, just held that truth in my heart. The universe, by whatever name, takes the actions. And then there are times to bail. Back in the 80s, I had a wonderful position as controller at Utica College. 8 years of getting my degree, and now I've got this wonderful job. But my heart wasn't in it. I was thinking, well, that's it. Now I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. So instead, I quit. I gave away everything, bought a one-way ticket to Kathmandu. Some of you know that story. And I followed my heart, lived all over this country, studied with different teachers, grew in understanding, and never looked back. I've returned to accounting regularly as an excellent way to pay bills, but it's on my terms. I work this day, I don't work that day, I don't do overtime. Sometimes I get laughed at in interviews. You'll never find a job with those requirements, but I always do. Not everyone has this flexibility. I did not have children or a spouse. My North Star, my reason for being, was discovering why am I here, and I let that quest guide my journey. It eventually brought me back to New York to care for my parents in their final years, but actually they were also my teachers. All that I had learned before prepared me for those years. We all have some flexibility, allowing yourself to call in sick, mental health day, spending quiet time in nature, watch an uplifting film, like Finding Joe, something that makes you smile at the end. If your life is not what you want, make a plan and step by step work the plan. One of my coworkers in New York City was clearly not happy working in an office job, and I asked her, well, what do you like doing? Well, I love giving my friends massages. So why don't you do that? So she signed up for massage school, and her life opened up, and she was so, you could tell immediately, this was her. This was her. And during the pandemic, we've all read stories, I'm sure, in the news of people who they were laid off from their jobs, so they sat back and said, well, what do I really want in this life? Step back and take a look. Pay attention to what you're emotionally, intellectually feeding yourself. I regularly check the news. I was in New York City on 9/11, living there. I'm rather out of touch with the news, so I watch it now. But I balance that with meditation, with humor, guidance. Meditations from my teacher Muji that affirm beauty, completeness, oneness of life. I spend time with family and friends, volunteer as a chaplain. That, for me, is my heart work. If you're sad, find something to do, one thing to do. I have these wonderful coloring books of the mandalas. I see the patients do this sometimes. But there's always something. YouTube has some wonderful, funny videos to help you get out of a funk. Find something, call a friend, and somehow one thing leads to another because change is continuous. Look to see why you're sad. Sometimes you're so busy, you don't stop and look at the reason you're sad. Stop grinding it out. Take a look. I listened to a near-death experience on YouTube the other day. Jane Smith. She died briefly during childbirth and left her body. She experienced a great joining to, let's call, the expanse of love. Then she met a great teacher and she inquired about her sins. She said, I know what sins are. What about my sins? He told her, look in your heart. What do you see? What did you see but love? She recognized that we are surrounded by love. We are love. As Pastor Steve stated, you are part of the great oneness. We spend way too much time beating up on ourselves and too little time experiencing love, remembering love, being love. A month ago, I lost my younger sister to cancer. And thank you for all your prayers. She was determined to beat it, but one thing I've learned from those near-death experiencers, when it's not your time, they send you back. When it is your time, it is your time. And so sadly for me, it was with her time. I spent several days with her at the hospital as she was repeatedly medicated and sedated for the pain. But at her last breath, her eyes opened, her face relaxed, and a smile came on her face. And I am quite certain that Mom, our mother, came to get her and tell her it was time and it was okay. In the end, it is always okay. John Lennon said, if it isn't okay, then it isn't the end. Change continues. Love continues. Until then, find some joy, even 5 minutes a day. And if you can't find find 5 minutes a day, you better look at what your day is. What is so important? Put a Post-it note on your mirror that says, I love you, or you're worthy. Spend a day saying thank you for everything you see. If I spy something to be grateful for, I spy this beautiful community. YouTube has all those funny videos. They also have meditation videos. Sit in meditation, and if you just do it quietly on your own, sit in meditation 5 minutes. Just find a phrase, a word that anchors you in peace. I am love. I am enough. And ignore those thoughts that tell you otherwise. Mooji gives an example of feeling yourself spacious like the sky, and along come the clouds. Those are your thoughts. The sky doesn't run over and ask the cloud what it's thinking or get engaged. Just the cloud goes by. It changes. Be the sky. Allow change to be. We are resilient. We are here right now because we fill some wonderful need in that great tapestry. Let it be colorful. Let it be light. Let it be our strength. Let it be our determination, our tears, our love. Let it be whoever you are. And finally, I'll close with these words again from Maya Angelou. Continue. Be loving and be strong. Be fierce and be kind. And don't give in and don't give up. Blessed be. Amen. Please join us in our next hymn, number 1009, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Thank you. 1008. Uh-oh. 1008.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell a story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. And our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts does within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
As we take in those wishes, those prayers, those concerns, just a very brief prayer by Derek Mahon called Everything is Going to Be All Right. The sun rises in spite of everything, and the far cities are beautiful and bright. I lie here in a riot of sunlight, watching the day break and the clouds flying. Everything is going to be all right.
The words for our offering today is titled What We Say Yes To by Erica A. Hewitt. The offering that we take each Sunday isn't just a stale habit. It's an opportunity to recommit to this place and to these people. Our offering is an affirmation, a yes. When we give, we say yes to something we value. With our gifts freely given, may we say yes to the values of our faith. May our offering help us practice Unitarian Universalism within and beyond our congregation as tools to empower our mission, to nurture spiritual community, honor diversity, and advocate for social justice. The ushers may now come forward to take the offering. Now we will extinguish our chalice. Please join in with the words on your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again.
A note before our benediction, a thank you to Kim for organizing me to come from Syracuse. Thank you to Bob for the music, Melissa for all the techie stuff, and all of you. Thank you. Our benediction, may each discover the deep love within. May it be the strength that holds, the map that leads, the light that shines. May you be that. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you, Jackie?
Oh, except for my knee hurting me still. Um, I'm fine.
Are you back home?
I am back home. Got home Tuesday.
Good.
I left midnight. Well, Arizona time, 3 o'clock our time. Didn't get in till 11 o'clock. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Well, welcome back.
thank you. Oh, I got cats and dogs all over me.
They missed you.
Well, one dog and then 2 cats.
They missed you.
Yeah, they did.
It looks
Well,
like
Chris-
COVID's back, huh?
What's that?
COVID is back. I'm
Oh.
hearing it all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I mean, my family, 2 granddaughters, my daughter. I go in the store, nobody's wearing masks. It's unbelievable.
I know, and this is the kind that's very contagious that people are getting.
Yeah. And it's fortunately it's one that's not nearly as bad as the original COVID was, but it's I know my girlfriend she's a truck driver. She's stuck in Louisiana right now in a hotel because she got exposed somewhere, no idea where. And she'll be there till Wednesday, and she's got the shortness of breath and stuff, but otherwise it's doing okay.
My
The
daughter
main-
just
I think that if you've been, had your shots and been boosted and all that stuff, you do okay. Biden got it twice in a row. Well, one was a rebound because of this medication they gave him. That was caused the second one, I heard. But anyway, so he, luckily he had everything he needed.
Yeah, well,
So
my friend Sarah, she's had the 3 shots, but hadn't had COVID at all before. And considering what she does for a living, it's amazing to me. So she's been lucky.
yeah,
How are you, Judy?
So far, so good. I'm going up to Unirondeck for a week, starting a week from tomorrow. And they're requiring everyone to have, what's it called? Not the fast antigen, PCR,
Yeah.
a PCR test within 48 hours of Monday,
hmm
which trying to figure out which lab will be open on like a Saturday, so, and have the test back in time for me to leave on Monday. It's a bit of a nightmare, really.
Well, the Well-Now, I know in Rome was good about that. I was tested. I had to do the same thing for something. I forget what it was. I got tested on Saturday, and I had the results on Sunday.
Now, was that test ordered by your doctor?
No, that doesn't make any difference.
Oh, because I was told that unless it was ordered by the doctor, that you would have to pay for the whole thing, which is about $250.
Wow. That might be the case, but I've got a medical savings account, so it probably got paid out. I think I paid it out of that, but
Oh, so your insurance won't cover it. I mean,
Well, I don't remember what the circumstances were as to why I had to get it. I forgot now. It was a while ago. But it was very quickly, very quick. So
well,
I may have been,
I'm nervous about my daughter with 2 kids who are
Yeah.
going up there with me. And if she had it done by the city of Syracuse where she lives, it's $215 each to have that PCR test done. So 3 times 200, it's like getting close to, well, you can do the math.
yeah, $800.
Yeah,
It's which is more than what the camp costs.
no, it's not.
No, oh,
No, I mean, it was over $1,000 a person. I've decided, I love Unirondeck, but it's a rich person's camp. I was talking to I was remembering when my kids were very little, money was very, very tight. I only sent Rachel to Unirondeck once because it was all I could afford. She could go 2 weeks to Girl Scout camp for the same price, so
well, there's scholarships available.
I know. And and there was scholarships available from my church too, but it was like, I always felt there was a whole lot more needy people than me.
Okay,
I just would have felt guilty applying for something when there were families without jobs or whatever, so.
yeah, I understand that, yeah.
So I sent Rachel to Girl Scout camp most of the time.
Yeah.
Simply because that's what I could afford.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for the 4 of us to go up there and they don't let you check into, I'm kind of bitching, I suppose, because the money is adding up. It was over $1,000 a person for essentially 4.5 days. You can't come until 2 o'clock Monday. Then you have to leave Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Friday.
on
Yeah.
Friday, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I may, when this all shakes out, I may talk to a board member. And I called up there and they said about the PCR test, they said it's a board policy, so there isn't any wiggle room. They have to do what the board policy says. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to a board member at some point. Not right now, but sometime.
I wish we could get figures like that. I'm on the board of directors of Catholic Charities and we have Camp Nazareth. And we're trying to, it's kind of a diamond in the rough, we're trying to open it up and get it really moving. There's 300 acres, there's cabins, so we're trying to open it up towards all faith communities. Hopefully it'll work. We'll see what happens in the future, but it's expensive.
How much
Camp-
do you charge for Camp Nazareth then?
I
For,
don't
say, a
even know.
week? You don't
I,
know?
I don't know, but you could just call up there and I'm sure they give you a figure.
It's probably on their website too.
It could be, you're probably just better off calling
Okay,
and, cause I know they do weddings, they do, there's a rope course up there. There's all kinds of things going on. I think the only catch we have is if you're up there, there has to be a lifeguard. So you get to pay for that plus whatever they charge, but it's a nonprofit. I mean, we're not out to make money on this deal. We're just kind of keep the place going.
right.
Camp Nazareth still open or is it closed?
Oh, no, it's open.
It is open. Okay, the only thing I remember, this was a horrible story. Back in 2001, the kid I was a foster care caseworker for, I was caseworker for the whole family, all the children. And he and his brother had gone